Today I'm going to be talking about mistakes that I've made with foods with ulcerative colitis and showing you the ways that I have solved these problems so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I have. My name's Jacob and I've been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis for 10 years. And over that time, I've made lots of food mistakes. So I'm going to break it all down for you so you can follow along and do not make the same mistakes that I have, because these are easy to avoid and I'm going to lay it all out for you here. So we're going to start by breaking down the foods that caused me to get into this health state that I am in. So we're going to mark these as flare foods. And in this section, I'm going to detail for you all the foods that have caused me problems in the past. And this is, I will say, this is a very individual experience for all of us. Foods affect us all differently, but I do believe that these foods that I'm going to list here are universally just not worth eating, especially if you've got ulcerative colitis. But they're worthy foods of removing from most diets because they're just going to eventually lead to poor health outcomes. So let's start off with the list. The first thing that I was doing, this was back in the early days of my ulcerative colitis, was I was drinking. And I was drinking alcohol. So I was drinking beer, I was drinking wine especially, that was awful, and spirits. And I know this is under foods, but it's a substance that I ingested. This is just not good. Yes, people enjoy it, they have fun with it, but it's not worth drinking, especially if you've got inflammatory bowel disease, because these things just raise your inflammation levels and cause your body to have problems with keeping you in a healthy state. They affect your sleep, and sleep is fundamental to the healing process. So the best thing you can do is just not drink. And I haven't touched alcohol, I think coming up for 3 years now. I just said, no more, never again. And even in the past 5 years, I've maybe had one beer, not worth it. I don't really see the point in ever drinking again. So that's an easy thing to eliminate from your diet, not necessary in the slightest. The next thing was I was eating ultra-processed foods. Now, you might have been hearing this term slung around on the internet quite a lot, and it's quite an umbrella term and it could mean a lot of things, but I will break it down for you, the foods that I were eating which were ultra-processed foods. So the first thing that I was eating a lot of was microwave meals. Microwave meals. And the thing is, these meals are cheap and they're very simple to cook. So you're thinking you're trying to save some time. You're like, I'll get this microwave meal. But have a look at that ingredients list. There's a lot of stuff in there that make the microwave meals last longer. And usually these were not healthy meals anyway. They were high carb. And I'm not saying carbs are bad, but refined carbs. So that could be pizzas, like breads. I'm going to write pizza. Yes, I did have a lot of microwave pizzas. I also had a lot of oven cooked pizzas. But pizza nonetheless is something that's proven to not sit very well for me, especially takeaway pizzas. We're going to get to takeaway in a minute. I will put that down here. Takeaway. So the other things I was eating, microwave meals, they might have been pre-made roast dinners, all these sort of things. I mean, there's a plethora of microwave meals, but none of them are fresh or anything like that. They're processed, they're packaged, they're ready for you to heat up. And I mean, microwave meals aren't necessarily a bad thing. It's about the food that's inside of it. I mean, you could prepare yourself a nice freshly cooked meal and microwave that the next day, but that's not what I was eating, unfortunately. And other things like chips, I was having a lot of those. I was also having these pre-made macaroni cheeses, like packaged pastas, pre-made pastas. See, a lot of these things, they're not going to have much nutrients. Low nutrients. You're just eating carbs, pasta, bread, and my diet was very high carb and low in vegetables and fruits and protein. low meat consumptions. I mean, you might get a pepperoni pizza, but that's like a slither of meat on that. And pepperoni at the best, that's a very oily sausage. So it's not the best protein to be eating. Let's get to the takeaways. This was something I was very, very guilty of in my time in university. My God, I was having a takeaway almost every day. It would be, I would buy the takeaway, then my friend would buy tomorrow's takeaway, then it would go back to me. And we were eating everything. We was on a rotation of Chinese, Indian, kebab. We didn't really get that many pizzas. We'd often just get the Chinese, the Indian, definitely kebab, but that would be more like here in the UK, you get like burgers as well from the kebab shop. We weren't necessarily buying kebabs. We were just getting kebab shop burgers. So we were mainly rotating the Chinese and the Indian because that was our favorite. But the Chinese, this is cooked in lots of oils. And I eventually went off of the Chinese because it was just so greasy, especially if you're getting a cheap Chinese. Everything's just, I absolutely hated it. It was so greasy. Everything just felt oily, and then it would just make me feel sick. At the time, you're eating it. You're like, oh, I really like this. I'm going to eat the whole thing. Don't do it. It's very greasy. And then the Indians, what I liked to eat from there was a korma. I'm not a very spicy person, but the korma was high in sugar. I mean, it's so sweet. It was almost like eating pudding. That's how sweet it was. So it's very high in sugar. And I just think that these foods were not fueling me. I mean, there's a huge portion of rice, way more rice than I would need. This highly sweetened sauce. There is some chicken in there. Chicken's good, but it's with all these other ingredients. And the kebab, that's all greasy in its own way. I mean, you can get good kebabs, but the places that we were eating were cheap. And they were not keeping me healthy. And the thing is, the whole time I ate like this for absolutely years. And the whole time I ate like this, yes, I was like keeping myself lean. I was not overweight, but I was in and out of flares. So I was in and out of flares. I was just on and off flaring all the time. And I would not stop eating like this. In my mind, I was told, I got my diagnosis and they said, diet is not linked to your health state. I just want to let that sink in. Diet is not linked to, foods do not affect your health state. What a big load of crap. What I was eating, all of this stuff, was contributing to me being in and out of flares. Yes, it might not necessarily be the reason that we flare, but it is going to be contributing to you being in and out of flares. Now, I'm not saying bad diet causes ulcerative colitis, but it sure as hell does make it worse. So why even bother eating this way if we understand this? It's, I'm not getting the nutrition. I was probably very nutritionally deficient in vitamins and minerals and proteins and macronutrients. And that was just leading me to be in a poor health state. I mean, not just from ulcerative colitis, but from just daily life. I was getting sick all the time. Every week I was down with a cold. Every week. And my diet was crap. This is crap food. And I tell you what, going back, ultra-processed food, something I used to eat when I was younger quite a lot. Like, you'd get very hungry. I'd be out doing skateboarding. I'd be like, I need food now. I go into the shop and I get pre-packaged sausage rolls. And I get milkshake. And the thing is, when I drink the milkshake, I get a stomachache. I get this Mars milkshake, down the whole thing, and then I suddenly just be in a terrible amount of pain. And these milkshakes were not doing me any good. And for some reason, I kept going back to them. These sausage rolls, not good. I mean, low quality meats, not even 100% pork. It's probably mixed with all sorts of stuff. I mean, this was years ago. I'd have to look at the ingredients. But you're not just eating pastry and pork. Look at the ingredients. There's so much other stuff in there. And the key with this is to simplify it. Now, the thing, like I keep saying, the amount of ingredients in it. The ways that I have changed this and completely changed my health today is by taking out most of the ingredients. So how do you do that? Let's just wipe this off quickly. Well, there's easy ways of doing that. And it's, the simple ways that you probably know deep down inside that are going to work. Like eating meats, fruits, all that good stuff. That's what's going to give you the vitamins and minerals that you need to heal. Because these foods that I was eating that I've just wiped off the board, they were not fueling me. They weren't giving me those vitamins, minerals, macronutrients to give me the building blocks to heal. So how do I eat today? Let's just wipe this off. Right, how do I eat today? So, clean foods. What the hell are clean foods? Let me tell you. So, I eat steaks. I eat fruit. I also eat mince meat. And I do have the occasional oats. Those are my carbs that I like to get, along with the fruit. And that's about it. It's that simple. So I'm not just eating red meat, but I do eat a lot of red meat. I do eat chicken, but basically meats. And you know what ingredients are in those meats? One ingredient. It's the bloody animal that it is. If I'm getting steak, there's one ingredient, and that's steak. If say I'm getting pork mince, I look at the ingredients. It's pork. There's no other crap in there. There's even if you go and have some bacon, you look at the ingredients. Let's just look at some bacon. It might be, 80% pork. And then you've got pork. And it's not even 100%. Let's say 80%. I don't have a package in front of me, but then you've got nitrates, preservatives, and you've got all this other stuff. And nitrates in particular is something we want to avoid. That's getting into the thick of things there. But the ingredients have one. If I have a watermelon, there's one ingredient. It's watermelon. If I have an apple, there's one ingredient. If I have some grapes, that's it, really. That's how simple it is. Now, the thing is, it can feel daunting reducing your diet from what was a huge list of all these comfort foods down to this. But once you start doing this and you've done it for about a week or two, you start feeling a hell of a lot better because you're actually getting the nutrients that you need. And steaks and red meat have been shown to be some of the best healing foods out there. Oh, and I'm forgetting fish. I eat fish. I eat fish once a week. You could eat it more, but salmon in particular, I have salmon once a week. And that's not to say that I don't occasionally eat some other foods, because I do. Sometimes I do have some pre-packaged pasta. And you look at the ingredients, there are some ingredients that I really should not be eating in there. But the thing is, 80% of my diet is this. 20% of my diet is this. And there in this world, it's kind of impossible to go by unless you're cooking everything yourself kind of impossible to avoid some sort of ultra processed food, especially like if you're trying to eat on the go, it's very hard. There are ways around it, like say you've come across a McDonald's, you could just eat the burger patties. It's not the best quality beef, but it's a hell of a lot better than going into the supermarket and buying a sandwich or whatever it is that you want to get from there. The beef's going to have a lot more vitamins and minerals inside of it. I do occasionally eat, so I've got the pre-packaged pasta. There's other things I might eat. I'm struggling to think right now because I eat so much of these clean foods. But this is the way that I like to break it down. So let's just make this even more simple for you. Let's really simplify it because diet is so confusing and personal. And if you're confused about what do I eat then? How do I simplify it? Well, you don't have to do it all in one go, that's for sure. This is something that I've iteratively done over the years and years. I'd say the past sort of 5 years, I've slowly refined the amount of foods that I eat and reduced the amount of processed foods that I eat. In particular, sugars. You won't really catch me ever eating chocolate. I do have some methods for curbing your cravings, but I don't get cravings anymore. The cravings go pretty quickly. One of the best methods I found is if you really, really want some chocolate, just sniff it, smell it, don't eat it, because smelling is almost as good as tasting. Once you have been eating healthy foods and you've got into that routine of eating healthy foods for quite a while, you really just don't want to eat these foods that you know aren't going to fuel you and give you the energy that you need, and smelling them is enough. So let's break it down. What we're looking to do is eat foods with less ingredients. Less ingredients. That's the main crux of this whole argument. If you can eat foods with less ingredients, then you're probably getting something that's healthier. Just look at the back of your favorite ultra-processed food. And I didn't even get into cereals. My God, I was a cereal addict. I would have cereal for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. I loved it. Look at the ingredients of cereals. If you eat cereal, just look at the ingredients. 1, there's a lot of ingredients. 2, there's a lot of sugar. Way too much sugar. And 3, they do have vitamins, but they're reinforced with vitamins because this food is useless. They have to put vitamins in it because it's just going to tax your body otherwise. You'll be deficient in vitamins and minerals if you only eat cereal. Best thing you can do is just get that out of your life. And I replaced it with oats and blueberries. And the thing, oh yes, I also drink kefir. We could go on all day about diet, but I want to make it simple for you. Aim to ingest less ingredients. When you're next in the shop, just have a look and look at the ingredients and just be truthful to yourself. Should I eat this? Why am I eating it? Am I eating this for comfort or am I eating it for fuel? And this, like the way that I've changed my mindset is I eat for fuel and for healing. And some of you might say, that's boring. No, it's not actually. Once you get used to it, it actually is not the opposite of boring. It's fun. You feel great. You feel better. It gives you energy. And if you are in a flare state, you want to give yourself the building blocks to heal. Otherwise, you're going to perpetuate your flare state. And you're going to have to rely on those medications a lot more. And the thing is, none of us want to be taking medications. So give your body the fuel that it needs to heal on its own and make yourself feel better. Now, diet is only one part of this whole mystery of healing. And if you find it very confusing, then click that link down in the description and I'll send you a free PDF of my overall how I have got to the health state that I am in today. And that'll get you on the mailing list. And there's also, if you're interested, there's a one-to-one support system and you can sign up to the waiting list below. And I can give you one-to-one support to help you through this mystery that is IBD. Because it's it's so confusing. And sometimes it's good to just talk to someone who's had more experience than you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has helped.